striving to be pragmatic. I'm just an addict for your love. I gotta have it. My problems disappear when love's connected. I never wanna take back an hour, minute, or second. What a blessing. Love ain't proud, it ain't rude. Love, it rejoices in telling the truth. Love is so patient, kind, it doesn't envy. Love your friend, love your enemy. I hope this love sink in. Got love for my neighbor, agape phileo. Let me be more convincing. Maybe you can dive in and exegete or censor, dissect the scripture. What bishop we show love. Or if you a sinner, transgender like Bruce Jenner, well, Caitlyn, we show more love. Basic man, don't subtract, divide it. God can take one love, then add or multiply it. Don't want to swear by it. I promise if you don't have love, your life will be full of the opposite. And that's a big mistake. Let me trying to demonstrate all love. Instinct like Justin Timberlake. And that's a big mistake. You trying to demonstrate all love. Instinct like Justin Timberlake. It costs $1 million. If it was free, I love you, you love me.
Yes, y'all. It is 8 o'clock. That is Texas time. Right here in the DFW area. I am Brother Darryl McGriff, and this is
DJ McGriff.
And this is Love Sync Ministries Love Talk. And once again, we're here with you, and we're glad to be here with you. Glad you're tuning in, checking in. Like we said, you can always be doing something else, but you decided to come and check us out, and we greatly appreciate it and love you for it. Hopefully that whatever we say today or put out today, that it does bless you and teaches you to walk more in God's love. So we appreciate that, like we said. So real quick, let's go ahead and get these ads out the way. And we'll be right back with you after the ads. So here we go.
Is your credit score not what it used to be? Are you ready to move forward in 2019 and do all the things you didn't do in 2018 because of your credit? Then wait no more. Your help is just a phone call away. Call Credit Man Credit Services, LLC at 866-308-5437. That's 866-308-5437. Extension 1. Change your credit. Change your life. It's cold outside and you're inside trying to stay warm by the fireplace with your hot cocoa. It's time to settle down with a good book. Check out Unapologetically Gray by Tracy Demas Barley. You can get this hot new book on Amazon.com or go to TracyBarley.com. That's Tracy with an I. BYERLY. That's TracyBarley.com. Don't be left out on this conversation. Get your copy of Unapologetically Gray now. If you just started your new business and need office space, or if you have a home office and would like to meet clients or potential clients in a professional atmosphere, then go to YagerProperties.com. Check out their office buildings in Frisco, Plano, McKinney, and Allen. They are a Christian-owned company and welcome you to get your new office space or just holding meetings. Let them know Love Sync Ministries referred you and go to YagerProperties.com. That's YEAGER Properties.com.
All right. And so, again, we welcome y'all to Love Sync Ministries Love Talk. It is Friday, fun day, the beginning of the weekend. It's time for you to wind down and release all the tension from this week and go into the weekend at least with a great attitude again. Hoping that, you walked in God's love all week and showed his love, and he keeps anointing you with his love each and every day so you can keep it up. Maybe you might not need to wind down. Maybe you just need to just rest a little bit. So, Miss Lady, what you got going on today?
Well, let's get right into business. So, I want to talk about a topic. We do take some hot topics that's going on in the world. And so, one of the discussions I want to talk about is John Gray came out with a video most people probably know who John Gray is. He was the associate pastor for Lakewood Church under Old Steve, and now he has his church, the Relentless Church. So he came out with the video. I guess he was experiencing a lot of, I guess, backlash or whatever over his announcement that he made to his wife. So he wanted to come on the air and just kind of let it air out. You know, you could tell it had been weighing on him, and you know, he talked about it, gave his take on it, because the whole controversy was about a gift that he got for his wife. So he purchased her for their 8th anniversary, I think a $250,000 Lamborghini. And so he said, you know, instead of, you know, people giving their version of the story, what happened, he gave his version. And in a nutshell, you know, he said why he did it, you know, for us, you know, some things he wanted to do because his wife had been there for him. He grew up in a place where, you know, people didn't have their marriages, so he wanted to, you know, do something different. It was something that he wanted to do to make her dreams, you know, come true. And he also stated that he wanted to make sure people understood that it was not church money that he used. You know, he said, you know, he had books, you know, he, you know, been on Oprah show for a few seasons. So he's like, not one penny of that money came. He had business opportunities, investments, and, you know, other things. So he, you know, he gave that. Now, was it necessary that he would have to come on and tell that? You know what I mean? Because it got kind of all boiled over. You know, I guess people had gotten upset. Do you think that was necessary? Did he have to resort to feeling like he had to come out to do a video?
Well, it's like I always say, you know, if you keep your stuff private, then nobody knows anything, nobody can say anything. But once you put your business on social media, then you open up for everybody's opinion, so you can't be mad at what people say or what they say because you made it public. You put it out there for them to be able to comment on it.
Now, I think the social media post was to give his version because it's some kind of way it got out of hand. But I think what happened was initially maybe he had some kind of function and announced it. You know what I mean? At his function. I don't know if that was with his church. I'm not sure. So then the social media post was to come back to try to add some type of sense to it all.
But he still did it. But so when he initially did it, he still did it publicly.
Correct. To some level, yeah.
Or was it just with nothing but family and it got out? So we actually don't know how the picture got out.
Yeah, you know what? It was some kind of event. So I don't know what that was. Some church members, I'm not sure. But it was some type of thing that he had. So that he had to get the air clear.
Well, if he didn't put it out publicly himself, and somebody else did it, then he don't have nothing to, you know, he don't have to explain nothing. Because that's, like you said, it was his money. He used his own money. He didn't use church money. So he can do what he want with his own money. Correct. Nobody has nothing to say about it and nothing to do with it. That's his money. He wanted, if he took the whole $200,000 and went and buried, or put the whole $200,000 and threw it in a pig trough, or just took $200,000 and threw it in a lake, that's his $200,000. He do what he want to do with it. If he decided to buy his wife a Lamborghini, then that's his business.
And I think sometimes, you know, with a lot, I think people have also too with the way church is today. Sometimes, you know, don't get me wrong, you got all kind of pastors out there that do, you know, all kind of crazy stuff. But I think that some people do forget that the church as we've known it is so different too. You know what I mean? Like from the older days, you have people who are literally businessmen. And I think a lot of people do forget that because, you know, some of these guys are entrepreneurs, have several businesses, authors, all kind of things that, you know, gross a lot of income. You know, one of them have a bank, I think, or Winston. But, you know, they have a lot of business ventures. So I think a lot of times people traditionally look at the old church and immediately assume that people, you know, you're taken from the church. And to be quite frank, the way the church is set up is very different, especially for a lot of the mega churches and the bigger churches. Now, obviously, in some of the smaller churches, things are, maybe done different. But a lot of the big churches, a lot of these people have multiple businesses. You know what I mean?
Well, but sometimes you have to watch that because a lot of people, when they started out with a small church that grew to a mega church, they were still receiving funds from the church until they was making enough money. Okay, so if like I said, because if you belong to a church that got 10,000 members, then I'm sure the percentage off of that 10,000 from the tithes or whatever, and whatever they pay you, you can make a good amount of money. And then if you're entrepreneurial type, then you can take that money and do other things because now that's your personal money when you get paid by the church. So you can take that money and then parlay that into a business and then make money from the business where now you don't need to take a salary from the church because your business is making you money, and then you're putting back into the church because of the money that now you making from your business. So, but if you're not, then you just, you could be a 30,000 member church and not have no job but the church and still just get paid from the church. So, but even with that, if it's a 30,000 member church and that's your only income and you're getting, let's just say you make $200 some thousand dollars a year from that church. Well, that church is paying you for the service that you provide. So you can take your money and buy what you want to do with it. You got paid to do that. So even if you're getting paid by the church, that's your job. So you take your money and spend your money on whatever you want to. It's nobody's business how you spend your money. And see, again, that's why you have to be walking in God's love and understand God's love and everything. Because, if that person, don't worry about that person, what that person's doing with the money and how they doing it. That ain't none of your business. That's between him or her and God. You just show people love and you just stay on point on what God has you to do. And don't be worried about nobody else because you can't do nothing about that anyway.
Yeah, well, and if someone does anything wrong, I mean, God is the one who has to, we all have to answer to the same person, right? So I think you're right. It's like we don't even have to worry about it if we feel someone doing something wrong, because God, he knows how to handle each and every one of us if we get out of line. And that's the thing too. We do have to mind our own business, and when God, see people doing anything, it don't matter who it is, me or anybody, he knows how to handle each of us. So I think we have to keep first things first and, put them in the proper perspective. Sometimes we get to worry about too much,
And then most of the time, most preachers, pastors, teachers, deacons, elders, or whatever it is, like you said, if it's done in the dark, it be brought to the light. Ain't too much stuff that goes down by somebody scamming or cheating that it don't get brought to the light, whether it's years later or whatever. But sooner or later, they get found out. So you don't have to worry about it. That ain't your cause. So like you said, leave that up to God. Let God take care of somebody that's misleading or cheating his people or in his house. He'll take care of it.
Yes, and so now it brings me to another interesting topic. I was seeing where there is a decrease in a lot of millennials having interest in church. And I said, oh no. And I've heard about it from different people, and out here ministering and everything. So, it seems to be, somewhat of a decline. I mean, just from a national standpoint of the millennials. So, man, what can we do to draw them in? What are we doing? Like, what can we do? Like, how are we missing them?
Because they are smart. They can look up stuff online and find out stuff and get information quick. So a lot of this old I'm going to say like fake teaching, as we talk about, millennials ain't playing that because they can go to stuff and look it up and study it and read it real quick. See, back in the day, like some of my uncles and stuff that was teaching back in the day, some of them would they didn't even finish school because of what was going on back then. Their parents had them on the farm. They needed them more on the farm and feeding the family and help with the farm than going to school. So I had an uncle that was a preacher, and he only went to the 6th grade. See what I'm saying? And a lot of those old heads like that. And then some of them right after them, You know, they were more educated, but they just went with what was taught by them. They still went a lot of reading and studying and Greek and Hebrew stuff like that. So these kids these days, they not falling for the okie doke. You just ain't telling them anything and everything. And then they are more perceptive in watching what their so-called saved Christian parents do. So you can't come home throwing scripture and talking about being about the Bible, and then your actions and what you do is opposite than what the Bible is saying. So they like, man, like we used to just, because it was shut up and be quiet and do what I say do. So it didn't make no difference if it was right and wrong. We just did what our parents said do without questioning. But these kids ain't doing that. So when they see that you're not really following the thing or being the thing that you want them to be, they like, man, I don't want to hear that. If you're not doing it, why you want me to do it? So that's why.
Woo. So yeah, it's a whole new generation, whole different mindset in it.
Matter of fact, I met a guy at a guitar center in Louisville, and I want to invite him on because me and him were talking about that because he's a millennial, and he saw the Love Sync card, and we were just talking about some things. And shoot, that joker was smart. I got to have him on the show because he gonna let you know why millennials don't go to church and what they think about what's happening now. So that's the deal. They you know, they ain't got, that's time out for that kind of stuff. They, like I said, it's time out and time's up from what we used to learn and how it was taught to us. And the millennials ain't playing that, like I said, because they can get too much information and look too much stuff up, and they just don't. And then, like I said, they're not that shut up and just do what I say type generation either. So they're not playing that. So they actually going by what they see and the examples that's being set for them. So they just not gonna sit there and do that with just do as I say, not as I do type thing. So they ain't playing
and it could be a various and you know, like I don't know, like with the music, technology, all of these things with how they relate, communicate, you know what I'm saying, with the church. So all of that probably can, you know, affect how their level of interest too. You know what I mean? Because we have a group of teens that are different too now. You know what I mean? Like you know, we're in a technology generation, and you know, I don't know, all of these things with the music, all of this, you know, how they relate to this kind of stuff. Their form of communications.
Yeah, but the music is just about caught up because a lot of the gospel music that they have now with the gospel rap and gospel hip hop,
yeah, they do have some.
A lot of that stuff has come a long way, and so they still can reach it with the music. So that's not really that far off. So that's not really that bad.
So you feel like the biggest part is just
yeah, they just not playing that. They're not, like I said, they're not playing that do as I say, not as I do. And they're watching us and they're seeing if we're living what we're saying, and if we're not, they just get turned off by us, and they like, I don't want to hear that. And like I said, they can go to churches and they can tell if the preachers and pastors are fake, the whole nine. Yeah, like I said, they're not going to sit quietly like we did. That's the bottom line. We
didn't have any choice.
But that's what I'm saying. they just not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
We didn't have any choice in the matter. Whether you liked it, didn't like it, indifferent, you were going to stay until, you know, the rest of the sermon was completed.
Well, I'm just reading because I've been trying to follow the story all week to see if any changes was going to come of it. And real quick, they had the pastor in Detroit that killed and shot a transgender, where they say transgender woman, or murders a transgender woman. In other words, so it was a man dressed up and looking like a woman and everything, and the pastor shot him and killed him. And so my thing with that is, you know, and I've been trying to get it all week, but they really haven't had anything new to come up with. I guess the pastor's not saying either, but it happened Monday and it's Friday, but it's nothing new on the story that says why it happened, why he did it, and everything like that. So, but you know, most of the time, and then I did read one part of it where it says that the pastor is married and has kids. So if he killed the transgender woman, you know, it's just an assumption we shouldn't assume, but when you look at that story, because they're not really putting anything new to it, then you just, it just, it just brings up all kind of questions on why would
more questions than answers.
Make more questions than answers. And so I can't wait till they really find out something, or the pastor opens up about why he did it and what was going on, because, for something like that to happen, most likely either you were into that thing, that's something that you were struggling with, or somebody did something, or they led you on and you thought it was a woman, and then when you found out it was a man, you snapped. You know what I'm saying? So it could be a lot of things, and then that would be a question too, because I remember back in the day, I can't remember that one woman. They all had them talk shows. Was it Jenny Jones or something like that? I know, it was a bunch of them. And she was the blonde haired chick, and she had somebody come on the show. You know how she used to have somebody come on the show saying somebody in your town got a crush on you. And then so when she brought the man there, then the other dude came out. And so that guy got embarrassed, because he got to go back to that town, and everybody gonna be like, man, old boy said he liked you and all that kind of stuff, man. The guy liked you. And so when they all went back, he killed that guy. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then there's been plenty of stories that as a woman a man that's trying to be a woman or living as a woman, mm-hmm. then is that not a trick, but is that deceptive for you to meet a man, mm-hmm. and he thinking you a woman, but you a man, and do you tell him right off the bat, or do you think you can build a relationship, and then you tell him later, and then it's like they supposed to be cool with it now because they started liking you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a dangerous one, because you're right. You've had many abhorrent stories where they didn't know initially, and it got really ugly. Really could go bad really, really quick. I think I think you need to tell them up front, because like you saying, some people, man, some people have snap behind it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and some of them may try to weave it in gradually, but everybody can't handle it. You know what I'm saying? And right. So I think that you should tell them up front. Now, here's another thing that I was gonna say, and I was gonna say, because I know some people personally who are HIV positive, so. I've talked to them, ministered to them,
Okay, so now, these people that you saying that HIV positive, mm-hmm. are they gay, homosexual, straight, or what?
Both. So,
because I was thinking about that the other day when mm-hmm. I saw some commercial about HIV. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, they say, well, that's the gay disease, because mostly at the time, gay people have it. But then the people that were getting it that were heterosexual, they were getting it from people that was either on the down low, you see what I'm saying? So they had people, because how many heterosexual couples do you hear people just stick? Now hold up though. Listen to what I'm asking you. People that are heterosexual that only sleep with men and women. I mean, man and woman. Not know anybody that was on the down low or anybody homosexual in the picture, period. But just straight up men and women that weren't drug users and getting it from needles and stuff, but just were heterosexual men and women. How many got HIV?
I don't know, but here's the thing. What I really wanted to bring up is, just like with that transgender situation, when was it right to tell? Because I don't want to get into the documentation of who and how many have it. What I really want to get into is the appropriate time, if you have that, should you be telling someone? And the reason why I say that, because as I minister to both people with this, and I asked them, I said, so when do you tell them right away, or do you wait to get to know them? And so I got different answers from both. do someone, so what I'm saying to you is, audience, do they have a right to know if you are HIV? Do they have a right to know soon as right away?
They have a right. The person that doesn't have it has a right to know, because HIV is something that can kill you, or if you get it, you got it the rest of your life. So your whole life changed.
So you don't think those people that I was talking to, they don't have a right to wait?
No, because that's the.
But they said, well, this is the one person. I'm just said, well, nothing happened yet. Obviously, but I'm just saying they don't want to tell them right away, because that immediately could shut everything stereotype down.
Well, that's why you tell them right away. Think about it. So why would you, like you said, why would you take the chance of not telling somebody if you know that if you tell somebody, hey, I have HIV, and that's going to shut it down, then that means that person at least had the choice to shut it down. But if you don't tell them, and then they get to knowing you and they get to like you, and then you tell them, then they feel betrayed, because they like, well, you should have told me that up front to give me the choice to see if I wanted to go that far. See what I'm saying? You're not giving me a chance to make up my mind to see if I want to go that far if you don't tell me up front.
Well, here's the thing. See, I never thought about this until I spoke to those people, and then they say, well, they didn't want to. Miss D, I go out on the first date, I'm supposed to divorce that?
Exactly.
Woo, I don't know. That's
okay. Again, when you do that and you have that type of disease that can kill you, or somebody can catch it and have to start taking medicines and everything for life, that changes their whole life.
So you think
and you don't
love to hear from somebody.
And you don't even have to have sex or anything, but just so that they can know for their safety. See what I'm saying? Because like, number one, you don't know where they have open sores or what's going on in their saliva, and they try to be all sexy, so then they take a drink or something, and then you want to be all sexy and take a drink of it too. Then all of a sudden they knocking your hand away, like, no, you can't drink that. And then they looking at them like, what's wrong? Now they have to tell them why they won't let them drink. You see what I'm saying? See, there's so many things medically that can go wrong when you have somebody that has HIV or the HIV virus. That's why you have to tell them up front, to give them the choice to say, hey, well, I still want to still be a friend to you, or I understand, like you said, it's not like back in the day when Magic Johnson and all them caught it, but at today's date, you got so much information, people know stuff, so maybe they can say, well, I know about HIV, I still like you, I'm still attracted to you, so I know what we can do, or we can work together to still make this work, but you got to give them that choice.
So I want to hear, I hope someone in the audience will answer that, because I never thought about it until I listened to both people that I ministered to, right? One was saying that, I don't tell them up front, Miss Deidre, not soon as I go out on the date. And then I kind of felt, oh no, I felt, like, ooh, that I don't know, you know what I mean? And so she was like, not soon as I go out on the date, she's like, at least, give it a few times to get. I said, I don't know what the right answer, and I never thought about that, And then so. Does she have to? I want to hear from somebody else. Should this person have to divorce that right away?
Again, there's so many medical things that could go wrong. Oh, listen, no, I'm not just saying that. They can get cut. Somebody can be slick, or the other person can be slick and try to sneak a kiss or do something, and they might have a cut, and that person that don't have HIV don't know that. See what I'm saying? It's too much stuff that could go wrong. Doing a date or just hanging out. Something could happen on the road. Somebody could do a drive-by, get shot, blood and bleed, and then the blood can pop in your mouth. And you see what I'm saying? It's so much stuff that could go wrong, and so they have to know up front what's going on. Like I said, but you need to give that person that chance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think with the people that I've ministered to, it could be a thing that they're probably so afraid to.
That's the chance that you have to take. That's just like somebody having herpes. Herpes ain't going nowhere. So if somebody have herpes, don't you want to know before you mess with them?
Yes.
Don't you want to know if somebody has HIV before you mess with them?
Yes.
Okay, then. So that's your right. That's your right to know that
But-
because of the medical situation.
And like I said, I never thought about it because they were just saying they didn't sleep with them, they didn't kiss them,
Don't
they
make
just
no
went out on the
difference.
date. They didn't
Something
want to
can
tell
still-
them if
Something can still happen. Something can still happen. Okay, let's check this out. When an HIV patient goes to the doctor, guess what the doctor does? Puts on rubber gloves when they deal with it. So if they not having sex, you see what I'm saying? But that doctor knows that something could happen through bodily fluids, whether they're coming out their mouth or sores or something, that they can still get HIV. That's why they put on gloves when they go there and deal with those patients. That's just how serious it is. So you, as the person that don't have it, you have the right to know that for your own medical and health safety.
Yeah, like I said, I never thought about it until I talked to those people.
And then see, you also have to understand that, like I said, so if you're a HIV and if you're in that transgender or LGBTQ community, then y'all all understand that. So if you're together with that, everybody in that community understands that whole thing. Mm-hmm. But now, so again, if you were somebody that got HIV through, the dirty needles from shooting up drugs and all that kind of stuff, then you got yourself clean later, and you was a heterosexual, you just got it not from sex, but from the drugs and stuff, dirty needles, then again, you might be scared to tell somebody because it wasn't a sexually transmitted disease. That's the first thing they're going to think. But you can tell them, hey, I got HIV because I used to be an addict. I used to shoot up. I'm straight now. I know how to work this thing, da-da-da-da. So if the man or the woman still like you for who you are, and then you was up front and truthful about it, then at least you're giving them a chance to say, hey, I kind of understand this AIDS thing. We can make this work. Or if they got to go, they got to go. But
so you said if the person didn't divulge to you up front, you would be upset.
I'd be upset. I sure would.
Yeah.
See, because then I'm like, well, you could have told me that up front and gave me the chance, but you let me go on like was nothing wrong. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of deceptive. Then you're going to wait until you now think I like you. Mm-hmm. And now you getting me to like you. Now you're going to tell me. Mm-hmm. Then I feel betrayed. You see what I'm saying?
Fair enough. I mean,
that's the same way as a transgender, mm-hmm. not telling a man that she's a man, and then you get to the point where now you get ready to go to the hotel room or something, mm-hmm. Or do something down the line, but then you like, oh well, wait a minute, mm-hmm. I got to tell you something. I'm really a man. Mm-hmm. What? See what I'm saying? Yeah. See how that does?
Oof. Yeah, that could go really bad very quickly, can't it? So I guess, oh boy, up front, huh? Everything, up front, that's the best policy. Huh?
That's with anything. Mm-hmm. That's with anything. That's like if a man told you, hey, he was dating you and he courting you and you only see him all the time. And then all of a sudden, y'all getting serious and stuff. And then he like, hey, I just want to tell you, I got 2 kids. And you might not even want kids or children or anything. You see what I'm saying?
Well, and back to the honesty policy. This one guy really upset me. Oh, I broke up with him behind it. Infuriating.
Oh, no, you didn't break up with him.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
That's what he did.
But why would you do that?
He did not tell me all the children he had.
And you liked her though, right?
But I had a right to know.
No, you don't have a right to know. But that's still the same thing. He didn't tell you up front. He wasn't truthful with you up front. He didn't give you a chance to say, hey, well, I don't really want kids. I don't want to deal with kids. You see what I'm saying?
Wait a minute. Here's what's so crazy about it. So he told me he had 1 kid. And he actually had 3. And I was so furious with him. Plus, you disowning your kids by doing that. So I had a right to know this. So all of this dating and going out, you hiding 2 children from me. And I'm like, who does that? So I was really upset and mad. And that just...
So what were you mad about?
That was nothing to hide. You should be up front.
Okay. So why you don't think the other person...
No, I didn't say anything. I'm asking because I never thought about that person who, with HIV that until they said that, like, I didn't want to tell them all this up front on the first time I go out with somebody.
Yeah, but like I said,
You
when you have something that serious medically, the other person needs to know, because they don't, you know what I'm saying? You never know what might happen. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened at dinner, and then the person get to choking in something, and you ready to give them mouth to mouth and something, whatever, cut their mouth, and then you give them mouth to mouth. Now you getting their saliva and their blood in you now. Now there you go. You see what I'm saying? That's why you have to tell them. Give them that opportunity. Like I said, it's enough education and stuff in this world today that if you know what's going on and somebody is that fine to you or looks that good and you want to take that chance and you know how you can work it, we can do this on this day. We know when that flare up, you can't do nothing. I mean, you know how you can maneuver around and have like look at Cookie with Magic. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
She don't have nothing. No, he don't have full blown AIDS. He just got the virus, but still he has to take the medicine and keep himself right, not to pass nothing on, for sure. But so you can do it. See what I'm saying?
You just said, but that person shouldn't wait and say, well, we didn't sleep together.
Yeah, that don't make any difference, because there's too much stuff can go wrong through blood and saliva and all that kind of stuff. So they need, the other person needs to know for their own personal safety and health.
Well, I guess that's the answer, huh? Honesty is always the best policy, and let people make up their mind. And I think, like you said, sometimes people they're too scared, but it's still selfish. That's like with the guy with me. See, you really didn't want to tell me because you really had a tendency of me liking you first, or caring enough about you first, and that's why you didn't want to tell me about the two other kids.
They said, and all that's being deceptive.
Well, selfish too.
Yeah.
I ended up breaking up anyway.
So if I truly really fell for you or was interested in you,
mm-hmm.
and saw you for the first time or whatever the case may be, like you said, that's almost and the same thing with deceptive. See, when anytime anything is built on deception, it's never going to work out right anyway. It's the same way that how you used to do a blind date, and somebody told you to call a girl on the phone or call a boy on the phone, and y'all talking and you're having good conversation, and then you say, well, what do you look like? Well, I look like Denzel Washington, da 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 da. Then when you see him, you look more like Morgan Freeman than Denzel Washington. You see what I'm saying? Now you mad because they lied to you. It was deception. So you want to know what's up front. So if the brother tell you up front, hey, I'm telling you right now, I look more like Morgan Freeman, but you had a good conversation and he told you the truth. When you see him, you're like, okay, well, you know what your expectations are. And now seeing him, you've already talked to him and like him. Now you kind of know what they look like. So when you see him, you're not taken back and you're not shocked that Denzel Washington be like on Fridays when old girl told her on Friday when he told Smokey on the phone that she looked like Janet Jackson. And when she came, he said, you look more like Freddie Jackson. So, so that's why you have to, you have to be honest and truthful up front about what's going on, because anything that starts out on a lie is not going to last. It's not going to work out.
Yeah, and and I think some of those people are driven in fear, and that's unfortunate because fear drives a lot of people to feel that they can't be authentic and honest, and they fear of rejection, and nobody will give them a chance or really care. So I think fear is a lot of that motivation. Not to say it's right, because it's not, it's wrong. But fear is a big motivation why a lot of times people are not truthful up front.
Well, and again, that's why when you love yourself, then you have such a self-esteem about yourself and a confidence in yourself that you don't have to lie to anybody about what you look like or what you are, and you have that, like I said, you have that confidence that people just love the confidence in you. You know what I'm saying? So it's been plenty of girls that I've seen that weren't the best looking of women, but how they carried themselves and the confidence that they had in themselves made them look good anyway. Mm-hmm. Even though they didn't naturally look good, but the confidence that they have in themselves and the self-esteem that they have and the way they carry themselves, they look good. Mm-hmm. See what I'm saying?
I've seen that too. You can see people who just have this just contagious amount of smiles and swag, confidence. You're right, and I mean, boy, it really can make them look good. And you're right, because I tell you, you could be the ugliest person in the room, but if you think you all in the bag chip, you got this winning smile personality. You know, a lot of people I've seen people just love them. I mean, people just drawn to them like a magnet. I remember this one girl from college. I mean, you know, those guys. I mean, she was a confident girl. Ooh-wee. And I mean, she was, you know, not attractive at all, but you know, I mean, she just had that big winning smile. She felt good, you know what I'm saying? And it's amazing how contagious that can be. And you know, people really can be drawn to you in that way. But like you said, honesty, I guess that's like with anything, any foundation you build, if you build it on anything lofty, it won't stand. You got to lay all the cards out on the table. And like you said, hey, this the deck we're dealing with. Hey, you either want it or you don't. This is deck we're dealing with. You either take it, leave it, or take it. You know, and it's the same thing when you go on into a marriage, any type of situation. You know, people do the same thing, and you know, even in a marriage, sometimes they don't lay it all on the line. You know,
and that's what
about their finances or their credit. You know. So I guess that's applicable. We started off with the whole transgender, but it's applicable to anything. People go into a marriage built on nothing but lies, you know. And so you thinking this person is one thing, there's something else. You thinking that they, you know, financially here and they're really there. You think, you know, so it's anything that's built on not the truth. It's a matter of time. It always gonna blow up in it.
And so I just wanted to go back, since I got my laptop with me. Mm-hmm. So like this, it says, go back to the HIV thing, why it's so serious to be told up front. Mm-hmm. It says, you know, you can get the HIV, says contact between broken skin or wounds or mucous membranes and HIV-infected blood or blood contaminated by fluids. Deep open mouth kissing if both partners have sores or bleeding gums and blood from the HIV positive partner gets into the bloodstream of the HIV negative partner. So that's what I'm saying. See how simple it is? Through, like you said, open sores and skin and
you just said something could definitely go wrong.
Yeah, something can definitely go wrong. So that's why, even though they saying, well, I'm not going to have sex with them or nothing, I'm just trying to get to know them. But during that course, you don't know, because of anything can go wrong. The person need to know what's happening, just in case, to protect themselves.
And I guess too, you know, some people can't handle something so serious either.
And think about it. That's why it's so critical to be honest up front, because if you tell them and they can't handle it, then they're not the one that's going to be with you in the first place. You see what I'm saying? Somebody that's up on it and understands it, that's who you want to be with. So if you tell somebody up front and they like, oh, I just can't do this, I can't. Yeah. That's the person you don't want then. Right. But if somebody says, "Oh, okay, I understand. Okay, I see. Let's talk. Let's see where this goes." See, then that's the person you know you can be with. Yeah. That's why, even for yourself, think about it. Even if I had it, and I lead you along for 3 or 4 months, and then the whole time I'm leading you along, it's still eating at me because I still have to tell you the truth. Now that I'm really getting to like you and you really getting to like me, I'm still going to have to deal with, now 3 or 4 months down, when I tell you, I'm still going to have the fear that I should have told you 3 months ago. You see what I'm saying? It's the same fear. So now I'm invested in you in 3 and 4 months, and I can still lose you once I tell you the truth. So you may well tell them up front to find out who they are, what they're about, how educated they are on that. So that way you can get that over then in that first date, and you don't have to spend 3 or 4 months invested in a relationship that still ain't gonna go nowhere.
Because like you said, and like you said, and people have every that's their right for sure. Because like you're saying, so it's a very serious thing, and if somebody don't want to go along with it, that's their choice. If somebody wants to be the maneuver around and deal with it, that's their choice too. You see what I'm saying?
And even though, like I said, we talking about the transgender and the HIV and all that kind of stuff, but deception is deception. Correct. No matter what it is. Like you said, whether you got 2 kids, 3 kids, whether you're living with your mama and you trying to act like you all that in a bag of chips because you all you got is your 2010 Mercedes that you still paying on. It should have been paid off, and you still trying to act like you something. So anytime that you're trying to meet somebody, and that not just only go in relationships as far as a man and a woman, but that goes to dealing with people also. Any type of deception that you're trying to pull off to be something that you're not is not going to last. It's not going to go wrong. As soon as the truth is found out, you're going to lose them anyway. So why not be truthful and upfront right up on Front Street? Because that's the same thing. If I'm dealing with somebody in business or dealing with somebody in the ministry and then they faking the funk, then as soon as I find out that they're faking and I see what's going on, well, the relationship is through anyway. I still love you, but I can't do nothing with you no more.
And I think, like I said, and that's unfortunate because, like I said, not only is a lot of these things could be fear driven, but also I think that sometimes too, we have to get out of ourselves with our pride, because sometimes when we know also these things for people to build something based on deception too is pride, because you want someone to think more of you than what you really are, right? And so sometimes pride that can get any of us in a lot of trouble, because even God says in the word, a man ought not think more highly of himself than he ought. So not too high, not too low, just in the perspective that God sees you. So sometimes that pride and worried about image too much, right? That causes the deception, because when you have pride in the wrong way, you're focusing too much on image and the wrong things, you know what I'm saying? And so that's causes a lot of that deception, is just pride and worried about your image too much. And that's something, we all have to, be mindful of and watch for and kind of adhere to a level of humility, because sometimes we worry too much about wrong things and what people say or think about us. And I think we all have to get to good places where it doesn't matter, what people, about our image so much. And that show, even though it is a, not based on a real show, the haves and the have not, that's the prime example when you think about people care about their image. If you look at Veronica, from the haves and have not, that's amazing. How she is with her image. Her image means, like it's everything to her. I mean, like it's so much to her that she just can't even accept her son. Because it's more about her and her image and and how we look. And so that's what leads to a lot of deception, when you make it so much about you and you want to have this image that everyone thinks of you. You know what I mean?
So here's another thing, back to this HIV and telling somebody about it at the first date or whatever the case may be. So I guess this is how to disclose in the dating. And it does say here, it says, accept that your date is allowed to reject you in the same way you are allowed to reject your date. So it says there's a multitude of reasons why people choose not to pursue a romance. Some may be unwilling or unable to wrap their heads around HIV. If so, that's their issue. So that's like I'm saying, that's why you tell them up front, because if the person can't handle it, then that's best for you to know then than waiting down the line. So like I said, but if they're educated, they got this stuff together, they know what's going on with the stuff, and then they'll be like, again, hey, well, let's see where this goes. We'll see. You take it one step at a time, and then at least you have something going. But, like I said, being deceptive in any way, in anything, is not going to end up well, regardless of what it is. So it's best to tell them up front, first date, get it out the way and be done with it. So, like I said, then neither one of you have to waste time and still end up kicking each other to the curb, or them kicking you to the curb 3-4 months down the line. So be upfront and tell them the truth.
Yeah, and like you said, it's so applicable across the board. Because like you said, some people, when you don't tell them certain things, I'm telling you, that stuff can get really out of hand and dangerous too. Because some people mind just it's not able to handle that certain type of deceptions. Some people, if you do that to them, like, man, they will flip, you know. Some people can't handle that kind of stuff. Like, you can't do that with some people, man. Like, even if you were to, you're right. Even, you know, like if you was to go on a few dates or something and didn't tell them, they just may flip. I mean, yeah, if you didn't tell them.
So,
you know,
if you was, most of the time you could tell, but if some kind of reason that you couldn't tell that it was a woman and a man, the man and woman.
I don't know. They have some good now. I mean, they look like. I mean, I can barely.
So what would you do then if the person didn't tell you that they were actually a woman and looking like a man and was dating you, and then you find out 2-3 months down the line that that's actually a woman and not a man?
Whoa, I would be infuriated. I guess that's the best way to help me understand. I would be upset. I would be very upset. Yes. I would be very, very upset. So I'm being very truthful.
Even if you start liking them and everything?
I would be furious.
Yeah, I see that. And when you say, because I can't even we talking about it, I still can't wrap my mind around if I was talking to a woman and then 2 or 3 months down the line, they tell me that they a man, or I grab down there and find something that they got that I got. Like I said, it would just, I don't even know. It just messed me up too.
Yeah, it's yeah.
So
yeah, when you're right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah. when you used to something or one thing one way in society and your culture,
sometimes your mind may not be able to handle it.
And then here you are, you've been kissing on them and all that kind of stuff. And then to find out
you have a right to
the image was saying woman. See what I'm saying? But then you know that this is a man.
Yeah.
So when you find out, then how do you now, hey, all of this time, I thought this was a woman. And now here it is, this is actually a man. See, that just messes you up.
Yeah, and you know, here's the thing. I'm the first to admit, once you turn the tables around, it made me think about it and how I get. Oh Lord, I'd be pissed. I was upset with the guy about hiding the kids, and I was like, no. Like, first of all, you lied about your other 2 kids. Who does that? That didn't set too good with me, because you're disowning your kids. That really upset me. And then you start a relationship where we've been going out a while and you lying to me about this. So that really kind of just threw that whole thing out of the window. Yeah. I was no more good for that one.
So, like I said, so that whole thing of whether you don't tell them that you have a HIV or herpes or something that's medically serious that you can't get rid of, or, you know, deception of the person is transgender and supposed to be a man that's a woman, or a woman that's a man. Whether you got 10 kids, 5 kids, or 1 kid, you know, whatever the deception is that you go into a relationship, whether it's a working relationship, man and woman relationship, whatever relationship it is, whatever it is in deception, it's not going to work. It's not going to turn out good, because everything we know that if it's based on a lie, that's the foundation, so it's going to crumble. You can't build a foundation on a lie. It's going to crumble sooner or later. Something's going to happen. Sometimes it might be 5 years. It could be 10 years down the line. But once it's found out that because you got to think, okay, perfect example again, just like I said in my first marriage. You know, when stuff was going bad, and then, you know, even though it's going bad, you're still trying to work it out, because that's what you try to do, work on your marriage to make it bad. Nobody wants to get divorced. But then when we had that blow-up argument, and then you tell me, I didn't want to do this, I didn't want to get this, I didn't want to have that, I didn't do that. Like, whoa, but you better back up. So you telling me then that we got married and everything that you told me was a lie. See what I'm saying? So now my whole 10 years was based on deception and lying. So now, what am I supposed to do with that? See what I'm saying? How can I go forward when the last 10 years was nothing but lies? So that's what I'm saying. So once it's based on deception and whether you find out 10 years down the line, it can't last. It can't, because like I said, how do you wrap your head around 10 years of thinking you are together and doing stuff in one way and all of it was not what the person wanted to do or nothing? So what do you do with that, D? How do you process the last 10 years?
You were really upset about that too, boy. Whew.
That's 10 years I can't get back. Yeah. What am I supposed to be?
I understand.
Shoot, you crazy? That's 10 years and you thinking somebody that's side by side with you, agreeing with you, and then you find out they didn't want none of that stuff. So I'm like, shoot, man, please. So that's why.
Yeah, and I know one time you was like, you need to make sure and da-da-da. You tell me, like, where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? And then once I saw when you told me that what happened, I was like, oh, okay, because I didn't know where that was coming from. When you was like, I was like, yeah, I'm sure if I said it, I mean it. Yeah. You didn't realize you did that.
Oh, I did that. I sure did do that because I wanted.
You was like hammering me. No, are you sure?
That's right. Because I don't want you to be saying something that you think I want. I don't want you to say something to me that you think I want to hear, but it's not what you truly want to do. You see what I'm saying? Ooh. That's how that got messed up. So, and just like that person was. So just like that person was telling me that that's what we should do, but only was telling me that because they thought that's what I wanted to do instead of telling me the truth about what they wanted to do. So just because you tell me that, I need to know more than you just telling me that. I need to know that that's what you really want to do.
This is what you really want to do. For a little few years because I was like, wow.
Oh, I'm still like that. I just ain't that like that.
I was like, why are you questioning me like this? I told you what I meant. I meant what I said.
You don't want me to bring up some stuff. We'll leave that alone. But nothing can be built on deception. Nothing can be built on deception. Nothing can last on deception. Nothing can grow on deception. Only thing that can grow on deception is more deception and more lies. That's it. And like I said, and once it all comes to a head, it's all gonna crumble down and fall apart, and you're gonna be left there with looking crazy. So whether, like you said, so whether we're talking about, you telling somebody that you got HIV up front, telling somebody that you transgender up front, telling somebody you got 3, 4, 5 kids up front, whatever it is, tell them up front. First date, not the first date. Yeah, the first date. Respect somebody else enough and love yourself enough to go ahead and get it out there and get it over with. So that way, if the person wants to do that, they'll stick with you. If the person don't want it, then you don't waste your time. So get it on out the way. Don't mess around with that. Don't waste time with that because you're not doing yourself or anybody else a favor when you hold back stuff and don't tell people the truth. Nothing comes good from it. Believe that. Nothing comes good for it. So, hey, it's 3 minutes out. Again, we hope we, talked something good, said something good, or just ran off at the mouth on Friday and y'all just was listening to us. But, we hope you always come back. Today is Friday, so we won't be back till Monday. So catch us back here on Monday on Love Sync Ministries Love Talk. Me, Brother Darryl McGriff, and your sister Deidre McGriff. It is Friday, so we're going to leave a couple minutes early. Guess what? We can do that. We ain't on no time clock. Now what? But we will check you guys back here on Monday. Same love channel, same love time. Until then, this whole weekend and forevermore, as they say in the big churches, walk in God's love, show God's love, be God's love. Until Monday, walk in love. She gonna, hey, where you going? You know which way to go.